we are when we leave this world is not who we are when we entered. I'm B, and this is the Healing Corner where we healing things. And welcome back to another reading vlog. Okay, so I've moved on to I think my fourth book on this journey. So I started off with Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell. Then I read Real by Kennedy Ryan. Then I just finished The Mad Wife by Megan Church. And now I am on to Dominion by Addie Sitchins. But let's first talk about The Mad Wife. So the day after I finished Real, I started The Mad Wife. And I feel like after I came off of that suspense thriller vibe and then a high intensity romance novel, I was expecting the same kind of energy from this book, and it did not deliver for me, unfortunately. However, it was still a great story. Now, there are some trigger warnings in here, so check your triggers. But for me, this book was very slow compared to the other books I've read. And I think I'm just more of a fast-paced girly. I don't know if it's because my attention span is short. I'm like that with movies or TV series. If it doesn't give me something within the first couple of minutes, then I'm zoned out on other things. Although I thought the author was definitely a good writer, and I understand that it was intentionally slow to show the mundane monotony of a housewife back in the 1950s. So it did tell that story pretty well. It was just too slow for me. I struggled with the dialogue in the book as well. It's almost like a person is telling you a story or something juicy that happened to them that day, but they take forever to get to the point, and to the point where you're like, I don't even want to know anymore. That's how that felt for me. And like I said, it could be because I have a short attention span and I need you to get to the point right away. This story follows Lulu, who is a 1950s housewife, and it goes through like her everyday life. Most of the story is her inner thoughts and what she's thinking. There was no POVs or anything like that, and I think I love books with POVs because it just makes the book more interesting to me. It did have a dark emotional undertone to it, but it also touches on the oppression, self-discovery, gender dynamics, and it also centers on women's struggles with autonomy, just trying to find their self-identity and liberation from restrictions from society. So that's why I feel like, although this book wasn't my zhuzh, I still think the story needed to be told. I would give this book a 3 out of 5 stars. The writer is good. The way she writes is amazing. It's just not my kind of storytelling that I prefer reading. I will give you one insert from this book that I enjoyed or I resonated with. All of us are evolutions of ourselves, changing over time as the calendar moves forward. Who we are when we leave this world is not who we are when we entered. If you have read this book, let me know what your thoughts are. Now let's move on to Dominion. I was actually really excited to get this book. Now this is based in Mississippi and it's centered around this family, Reverend Sabre, I'm probably saying his name wrong, Winfrey. He is obviously a pastor at a church. He's well known in his community, but the POVs of this book is his wife Priscilla and the girlfriend of 1 out of 4 of their boys. They call him Wonder Boy. It's pretty good. It's very churchy, but I love the fact that it's kind of showing you the dark side of what really goes on behind the scenes of these pastors. And for those of you who don't know, I grew up in the church. I was baptized. I grew up singing in the choir. We was in there every Sunday, Wednesdays for Bible study. And it wasn't until like I started my healing journey that I got it more into spirituality over religion. But I will say that I do believe in a higher power. I do believe there is something bigger than ourselves. But I also believe that it is within us. God is within us. Reverend Sabre Winfrey, Seven Seals Missionary Baptist Church, believes in God, his own privilege, and enterprise. He owns the barbershop and the radio station and generally keeps an iron hand on every aspect of society. He and his wife Priscilla has 5 boys. The youngest, Emmanuel, is called Wonder Boy. But Wonder Boy, his father, and all the structures in place that keep them on top are not as righteous as they seem to be. And when Wonder Boy is caught off guard by an encounter with a stranger, he finds himself confronted by questions he'd never imagined. And his response sends waves through the entire community. It's pretty good so far. I'm on page 56, chapter 3. And this is a rather short read. Let me see how many chapters it has. It only has 10 chapters, really tiny. So I'll probably finish this book by tomorrow, honestly. So yeah, I'm really excited to finish reading this. It's better than The Mad Wife because it's getting to the point pretty quickly. I already got my next read coming up. It becomes an addiction at this point. Got back from my local library. I just felt like getting out of the house and going to a library. I haven't been in a library in a very long time, so I just wanted to check it out. I got my first library card. A girl is really excited, so I wanted to show y'all what I got really quick. First book I got is 1 in 4 by Lucinda Berry. I've never heard or read anything from this author, but the book looked interesting. It says Dr. Laurel Harlow can't believe she's agreed to do a reality TV show, but her years as a chemical dependency counselor and personal history with the show's director make her the obvious choice. In a house full of narcissists vying for the spotlight, everyone's hiding something. As she hunts a killer in her present, the unsettling truths of Laurel's past are forced into the light. So that's just a brief description of what the book's about. So yeah, we'll see what this entails. I also got this self-help book, sort of. It was in the nonfiction section. It's A Black Woman's Guide to Getting Free. I actually went through some of the pages and it seemed like something I would read. So it is by Tamara Winfrey Harris. Can't wait to check that out. Someone You Trust by Rachel Ryan. Again, never heard of this author. The book looked interesting. Amy jumps at the opportunity when she's offered a nannying job in West Cork, but quickly it becomes clear that all is not well in the Carroll marriage, nor in their idyllic rural community. And as the days pass, Amy learns that the refuge she has sought just might be the most dangerous place of all. So this sounds like somewhat of a thriller, so I'm all into psychological thrillers and all that. Now this last book I'm really excited that I found is by Frida McFadden. I have not read any Frida McFadden's books, but I have ordered them. I have Never Lie and The Boyfriend. I think those are the 2 books that I've ordered so far from her. Blake Porter is riding high until he's not fired abruptly from his job as a VP of marketing and unable to make the mortgage payments on the new brownstone he shares with his fiance. He's desperate to make ends meet. Enter Whitney, beautiful, charming, down to earth, and looking for a room to rent. Danger lives right at home, and by the time Blake realizes it, it'll be far too late. So I'm really excited to read this. My goal is to not keep spending money on books. I do have some books that I haven't read that are up on my shelf, including these books. So my goal is before I buy another book, I need to read all the books that I haven't read that is on my shelf. So that is the goal, and we'll see how that goes. I finished Dominion. It literally took me a day. It just had me hooked. I had to keep going to see what was going on. Picture like Greenleaf, the show Greenleaf, but darker and more disturbing. But this was definitely a good read. I would give it a 4 out of 5 stars only because it was so much going on, y'all. Like, this was a chaotic story to me, and I was confused most of the time to the point where I had to go back and like reread. The execution was a bit messy to me, but I liked it. Like, it was still really good. It was a lot of confusion going on, but I like to be confused a little. As long as it comes together in the end, which it did, it came together in the end. It just points out like how powerful the religious community can be, of men of power. The pastor, he knew people at the police department, so that should tell you a lot. His son, the pastor's son, Wonder Boy, there was some dark things going on with that kid. It was a well-told story. Just the execution, that's the only reason I give it a 4 out of 5 stars, because it was just a bit messy. It was a lot going on. I have been flying through these damn books like no tomorrow. I already have my next 2 books lined up, so y'all stay tuned for that. And yeah, Dominion, check that off my list. If you are new here, welcome. Please don't forget to subscribe and join the healing tribe, join the reading tribe. And if you are returning, welcome back. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your healing journey, your reading journey. And if you are reading anything, let me know. If you have any book recommendations, leave them in the comments, and I will see you guys in my next reading vlog. Love you guys so much. Peace.